Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy Sean Austin here again from Sean's Rabbitry and Aquaponic Produce. Today we're gonna talk a bit about how we could sell more rabbits. If you're into the pet market, then obviously you're gonna be selling baby rabbits. But for the commercial farmers, we're talking mostly about selling rabbit meat. Now for the most part, over the last, let's say 3 to 5 years, we have seen an increase in the amount of people that consume rabbit meat. But by far and large, we still remain something of a niche market. So today we want to take a look at some of the things that we need to do to try and help the rabbit meat industry to break through that ceiling and become more of a mainstream meat. So guys, stay tuned. More on this right after the intro. First of all, let's talk a bit about the pet market. Now, if you're a person who sells pets, then you're mostly going to be selling baby rabbits. In which case, your target audience would mostly be children, because they're the ones who are most fascinated with cute furry little bunnies. So all your advertising should be targeting them. Of course, you also target the parents because they are the ones who are going to actually be doing the purchasing. Now, there are adults who also would view a rabbit as a pet and would purchase one to keep. But it's less than with the children because most parents are busy anyway with work. On the other hand, there are parents who will purchase the rabbits for their children as a way of having them tend to these rabbits to learn some level of responsibility, teaching them that you know to care for the rabbit and stuff like that, make sure you feed them, give them water, so children learn to be a little more responsible by seeing about pets. So there are parents who would do that. So your advertising obviously would target children and the parents who want to buy rabbits for the children. Of course, the pet stores and the feed stores in your area that would usually sell young rabbits, they're on the front line. People pass through their stores, they have a lot of foot traffic. So it won't be a bad idea to partner with some of these stores in your area to help move these rabbits. It's up to you to negotiate a reasonable price with them, but at the end of the day, the point is getting the rabbits out the door. Focus on moving more rabbits as opposed to moving one rabbit at a high price, and you should strike a balance. Right? Something to think about. Now the meat market is a completely different story. Now this may vary from country to country, but here in Trinidad and Tobago, culturally, the eating of rabbit meat isn't as popular when compared to the other meats on the market like chicken, beef, or even pork. But thankfully, in the last 5 years or so, we have seen a big increase in the amount of persons who are interested in eating rabbit meat. However, we still have a lot of work to do. Now, a major factor that has hindered the growth of the rabbit meat industry is something that we jokingly like to refer to here as the Bugs Bunny syndrome. Now, most people know who Bugs Bunny is, this fun-loving cartoon character. Through television and all these various movies and cartoons that habitually depict the rabbit as this cute, fun-loving creature that likes to munch on carrots all day, it's difficult to get a lot of people to see the rabbit as anything other than a pet. You know? So as meat farmers now, we have to do everything in our power to try and break that mindset and introduce the rabbit to people in a more acceptable form. Another thing to consider is access to that meat. Now, we conducted a survey of, let's say, a couple hundred persons sometime earlier this year. Now, the survey was for persons who had never eaten rabbit meat before. And what we found out was that more than 50% of those people stated that they were willing to try it, but they had no idea where to acquire the meat. So obviously more targeting advertising on the part of rabbit farmers needs to be done. We need to be more vocal and really get the message out there so that people will know that, hey, rabbit meat is available and all the various places where it can be acquired. Now, even though there has been a steady increase in the demand for rabbit meat, I don't believe there are enough people producing rabbit meat to meet that demand. So up to this time, there are probably only 3 or 4 farms in Trinidad and Tobago that can be considered to be commercial producers. Also, a few grocery stores throughout the country have begun carrying the meat, but over the years they have been reluctant to carry rabbit on their shelves because of the inconsistent supply. They don't want to start offering a product to their clientele only to be told when they make the next order that we don't have any stock to supply. So it has been a kind of up and down situation as far as the grocery stores are concerned with the supplying of rabbit meat. Additionally, a lot of smaller farmers, they tend to breed specifically to target certain seasons like Christmas and Easter. Now, I understand this because obviously these would be the peak sale periods during the year, so you want to target these seasons. However, if we intend to make rabbit meat a more mainstream meat, then we have to start focusing on year-round production. Only then can we even come close to disrupting an already competitive meat market. Okay, we just need to produce more meat consistently. That's the only way we're gonna make rabbit meat more acceptable to the masses. Now guys, I personally believe that the rabbit farmers need to take a more active role in educating the masses about the value of rabbit meat. We live in a time where more people than ever are conscious about their health and the things that they eat. So it's the perfect time for rabbit meat to emerge as the front runner. Now, when compared to other meats like chicken, beef and pork, rabbit meat has less fat and cholesterol, it contains less sodium, it has a higher percentage protein, contains less calories per pound, has a higher percentage of phosphorus. It's a white meat, so it's a lot easier to digest than some of the red meats that we normally eat. And I could only speak for Trinidad and Tobago, but I know that most of the rabbits reared here are reared without the use of any type of growth hormones or the use of any type of antibiotics. Now, with all this information on hand, we already know that by far and large, rabbit meat is the healthiest meat to consume. But this information may not necessarily be in the hands of the masses. So obviously more targeted advertising is needed and a definite educational drive on the part of rabbit farmers to have people more informed to make that decision about which meats they should consume. Of course, if you've gone through the trouble of setting up a commercial rabbit farm, your goal is to sell meat. And if you're going to sell meat, you want every sector of the population to be interested in your product. So something to consider would also be religious considerations. So to make your meat acceptable by everyone in your population, a definite effort should be made to acquire all the various certifications that are needed for the processing of meat to make it acceptable to everyone. Now here in Trinidad and Tobago, we have a fairly large Muslim community and they are avid rabbit meat consumers. So at the very least, it would make sense to try and acquire your halal certification. Just something for you to consider. Now this is something that we have been doing for years now at Sean's Rabbitry and Aquaponic Produce, and I've been trying to encourage other farmers to go that way, and that is processing and packaging. Okay, now gone are the days of the alpha male who hunted and killed and captured his own food and took it home and skinned it and got it and things like that. In this day and age now, everyone is busy. So convenience has to be a major factor if you're selling meat and you want to do so in large quantities. The survey that we did also showed that the persons who are doing the majority of the purchasing in the household are the women. Now traditionally, rabbit meat was always sold as a whole carcass, which you then had to take home and cut up and season before cooking and things like that. That can hardly be expected of most women nowadays, who much prefer to purchase their meat already cut up and packaged. Better yet, if you can present that meat cut up and already seasoned with herbs and ready to cook, then you have an even better chance of getting them to purchase your meat. And since all other meats on the market are already being packaged and sold this way, it only makes sense that rabbit meat farmers follow suit if they have any chance of being competitive on the current meat market. Okay guys? Now another important aspect of the industry that we need to consider if we expect more people to eat rabbit meat and do so on a more consistent basis, and that is pricing. Now here in Trinidad and Tobago, I've looked around, I've spoken to a lot of other rabbit meat producers, and the average retail price that rabbit meat goes for here is about $45 per pound. Now, according to Google, that is about $6.60 US per pound. Now, I did a bit of a comparison between some other countries, and I looked at in the Caribbean here, for instance, Jamaica. When I did now all of these prices, I did the conversion to TT, so we'll be able to compare it to the $45 that we sell rabbit meat for here generally. Now, in Jamaica, their meat ranges between $50 and $60 per pound TT, which is a bit high. But when you look at the worldwide markets, like for instance China, who is the largest producer of rabbit meat in the world, but it was a bit difficult to attain a retail price for meat in China. So I looked at some of the European countries, which are some of the larger producers, like Spain, France, Italy. And when I did the conversions to those three European nations, the price ranged between $21 and $30 per pound. So we see definitely that on our side of the planet, where the production isn't as high, the price is a lot higher. So I dare to offer that if we were to increase production, we could look at bringing the price down so that it would be more affordable to the masses. Now in Trinidad and Tobago, the most consumed meat by far is chicken, and the average retail price for chicken is about $13 per pound. Now let's be real. Obviously rabbit is not chicken, it's a higher quality meat, so we're going to call a higher price. But we have to be careful not to call such a high price that we don't effectively price ourselves out of the market or out of the competition. Because if the majority of people here consume chicken, and they do so according to surveys at least 3 times per week, so each household here, each person in the household is consuming chicken at least 3 times per week at $13. If we want to tell people, hey, you should consume more rabbit meat, it's a bit difficult to do so, and at the same time tell them that you have to pay more than 3 times what you're paying for chicken if you want to eat rabbit. We're not gonna sell at a loss, but we definitely need to look at ways to bring the retail price down if we are to remain competitive in this meat market. So notwithstanding all the health benefits of rabbit meat, the average person who's on a budget is going to purchase what they can afford. So guys, we need to look at bringing rabbit meat into a more affordable bracket so that more people are going to consume it more consistently. Now in a subsequent video, I'm going to probably discuss things that we could look at doing here in Trinidad and Tobago that would reduce our production cost so that we'll be able to reduce our retail price. I know it's not a popular topic with a lot of farmers here, but let's be real. If we don't make rabbit meat more affordable, there's no way that anyone here could ever say that they are full-time rabbit farmers, because you'll only be selling rabbit meat on a part-time basis, and that could never be a sustainable business model or even be a living for you and your family. So guys, I hope you all enjoyed this video. I hope you found the information useful. Definitely give it some thought. It is something that we as rabbit farmers could come together and discuss. Also, if there's any pointer that you think I may have missed, feel free to leave a comment. Also, let me know what you think about the comparisons of the rabbit meat between Trinidad and Tobago and the other countries, as well as bring forward some ideas that we can all start mulling over to work towards bringing down our retail price. So thanks again guys, thanks for watching. Sean Austin from Sean's Rabbitry and Aquaponic Produce signing out. See you guys in the next video. Peace.